Hello there. Let's talk a little bit about how to create procedures within your business. So the first thing you'll notice is that we have procedures and components. Components are basically the deliverables. They're basically everything that moves within your business. The reason why we call them components and not deliverables is because sometimes these things are leads, for example, people that go through the sales cycle, right? First they're a lead, prospect, an interested prospect, then they go to negotiation, then they go to deal one, they become a client, or deal lost, and so on and so forth. So they're not necessarily deliverables. The reason why we call them components is because they are literally part of the components of your business. Everything in your business is a component, whether it's a contract, an invoice, and so on and so forth. So we do have some examples. For example, the prospect component. Company is the company at which the prospect works. So this is the account. Many marketing or sales agencies know what I'm talking about. Can have invoices, contracts, candidates if you're hiring people, and meeting minutes. For the purpose of example, let's create meeting minutes again, but we'll create them a little bit differently. You can have two blueprints with the same name. So I'll call this, actually, let me try that. Minutes. It's not going to give me an error now, but if I try to save it will. So let me go meeting notes. Okay, so let's choose an icon. Any icon from here will work. And then let's say meeting. So from the meeting notes perspective, a meeting can be, let's say, scheduled, held, or postponed. Okay. So these are the few statuses that meeting notes can have. And so what do we care about? We care about, let's say, having an agenda for the call. We care, agenda for the call. We care about having, let's say, the list of attendees. And then we care about having a purpose for the call. Purpose or title, right? And then we care about, let's say, having the agenda we have, so the literal notes from the meeting. Oh, and then let's say next steps. Next steps. Okay, so now that we have these, let me move these a little bit. Next steps. I didn't click save, my bad. Okay, so we have the most important thing is the title, or that's what we start with. Then who are the attendees? What's the agenda? Let's agree. Title, agenda, attendees, notes, and then text. And you can have all sorts of things. You can have people's emails in here. You can have links. You can upload files. You can add currencies. So for example, if it's an invoice and you need to be paid, or a contract, you can add currencies. You can add phone numbers, anything else, dates, and so on and so forth. So for our purpose, we will just have these. And so let's look at, for example, the attendees list. I want attendees. Oh, two T's, yes, attendees. So let's say this has 3 rows. Purpose of the title, I want to maintain at 1 row. Agenda, let's say we have 3 rows here as well. Notes, let's add 5 rows just in case we have more to discuss. And then next steps, let's add 5 rows here as well. The reason why we're adding more rows is so it's just visually more pleasant for the person following the procedure. So we have this, we've built the component, now we click save and continue. So now we have a new component that's called meeting notes, which now we can use in procedures. So let's create a procedure. We can have holding a meeting. Right? Okay. And then you don't need to add a description. However, you'll notice these little question marks everywhere in Alvanda, and they help you basically with little guidance. And if that's not enough for you, you can click on the bottom right. Let me just click create. On the bottom right, you'll always find a little help and feedback button that can help you, right? Okay. So now, let's start by creating the first step. So the first step is setting the purpose. Okay, so let's say it takes 2 minutes, not 1. decide on the title of the meeting, the agenda of the meeting, and then the attendees list, right? So those are the things that we care about in this first step. We have no inherited components because of the very first step. However, we can add a new component right here, meeting notes. So the status at this point is just scheduled because we have not held the meeting. And so the component name can be dynamic, which means that, or you can make it a custom name, or it can be dynamic based on what you write. And so I love adding dynamic component names because that means that every single component is based on what you actually write in it. So let's make the component name the title, right, of it. So if I make the component name part of one of these fields, that field automatically becomes visible and mandatory because you need it in order to have the component name. Otherwise, this wouldn't be. However, in this case, let's also have the agenda and attendees made visible. And in our case, we love it when people stick to process, when they don't go astray from processes. So we make everything mandatory. Whenever we want someone to do something, we make it mandatory. Okay? And so now in this first step, they will have to fill in the purpose, the agenda, and the attendees. Allow users to search for other components. No. So there are more things we can go into, but we won't go into depth. You will play around with this tool. You can create as many different procedures as you want. It's limitless. And if you subscribe to the Alvanda marketplace, you'll have access to hundreds of pre-built procedures for yourself. So you can allow users to change the estimated time. I don't want to allow them to change it because it's 2 minutes, so we'll keep it as is. And then, is this the final step of the process? No. Okay, so let's create save step. Okay, so now the first step is right here. So let's add another one. There we go. So after we put everyone there, let's say you can obviously make it very complicated. However, for the purpose of this video, to keep it very short, I'm just going to have 3-4 steps. So the next step is, let's say, holding the meeting, right? So let's assume we have the steps that presume inviting people and so on and so forth, right? So I'll add 30 minutes for this. Guidance, please make sure to follow the agenda and stay on point. If the meeting concludes in less time than scheduled, simply stop there so we are respectful of everyone's time. And that's it. So that should be fine. Basically, it's a little bit of guidance. How do you want people to think, right? How do you want them to act? And anything else you can add in there. You can put images. If you want to teach someone how to post something on Instagram and so on, you can put the images or anything else you want in here to give them as much guidance as they need. So inherited components, you'll notice we got from the previous step. Is this active? Yes, we are using the same one. Do we want to update the status? Yes, we want to update it to held because it has been held at this point. If we got until here, it is being held. We will keep the component name. Can this be duplicated? No, we just want one. And at this point, we want the notes. And we want to also agree on the next step just so that we don't put any other steps. Normally, what I would do is I would make this write down all of your notes on one task or once, and then after that, in the final 5 minutes of the conversation, with everyone agree on clear next steps. But for now, just for the purpose of this video, I'll make everything mandatory. I don't want people to search for other components. However, I do want to allow users to change the estimated time. Why? Because maybe the meeting is an hour or 45 minutes or 15 minutes. So in this specific case, I want to allow them to change the time. Is this the final step? No. Okay. And so we have 2 steps now, and let's create one final one, which is closing the meeting, right? And so let's say this takes you 3 minutes, right? Ask if anyone else has anything else to discuss before the meeting is concluded. Once done, bid your farewells and wish everyone a great day. Right? Again, you can write anything you want in this guidance section that's aligned with your company's culture. Okay, so is this the final step? Yes, we'll create the procedure. There we go. Now, the only thing you need to do, or I mean, you don't need to do this, but what is recommended is to share this with colleagues, departments, or positions, because this is the procedure of holding a meeting. Everyone in the business at one point or another will probably hold a meeting. So I want this shared with everyone, with every single department, everyone, everywhere, right? Not individual colleagues, not individual positions. I want every department to have access to this procedure. So once I click share procedure, it's been shared with everyone. I can simply go back, right? And now this will appear here in my procedures section. And if I click on the pin icon, it will also appear in my dashboard, right? Anything that you use very often, like for example, holding a meeting, if you're in accounting, issuing an invoice, if you're in legal, reviewing a contract or creating a contract, anything that you use, let's say as a developer working on a feature, as a marketing person posting something on social media or on the blog, anything you use, let's say you have 5 of those or 10 of those, all of them will just appear here. So you don't need to look in the entire library of procedures. Your dashboard is customized to you, right? So that's basically it in terms of procedures. And if you have any questions at any point in time, you can ask us right here in the help and feedback section below. Thank you so much for listening, and let's build some amazing procedures together.